Marvel Future Revolution fans. This is Drizz. I'm a pretty chill Star-Lord on Central City server. A few days ago, Netmarble released the second half of the Dark Domain quest. So a few members of my alliance who focus on specific characters and I just set aside some time to do a little review of the updates that came with that patch. We'll dig into a little bit about specializations, the new Omega card sets, the new campaigns, and upcoming modes of the game, and how we think players can best prepare for those using what Netmarble has released in this latest patch. Without further ado, let's dig into it.
And then it will complete. So all these ones over here, all these ones that are really low, start getting really low, now we have a very good opportunity to pass these specializations. Twice failing at 30 times and never having a chance to increase that rate. Let's go back to the patch notes because that was a short part of it. Obviously, all the stuff that's no longer an option is now dismantleable. So, did you guys notice anything with the optimization? Did it feel any better on your phone or whatever? You know, I play on LD Player and all that, so I don't really know for sure.
I'm getting more battery drain than I was before, actually.
I'm getting more FPS on BlueStacks than I previously was.
I am noticing a significant battery drain then compared to what it was.
I do know, I mean, I don't play it a whole lot on my phone usually because I'm at work, but I was trying to get through all the stuff to try to get to 115 and make sure I could at least get the round of 115 stuff done today.
Oh my god, dude. Sorry, I have...
Still getting trolled in DZ?
Confirmed with Dark Zone. I just got...
What?
I just died and got kicked out of Dark Zone. I have 50 minutes again.
Really?
So there you go. Anybody that's watching this video will now know that basically if you want to reset your DZ time, you die.
Have somebody kill you, get kicked out, and you basically reset to 50 minutes.
Yeah, that hell
Heard it here
gave me
first.
so much extra time.
But yeah, so I mean that's odd. I mean, obviously, you know, that kind of stuff that accidentally happens. But basically, they were intending on making a better optimization of the game. Oh, it's capacity, duh. But that means it's still, if it's changing the capacity and you're taking more battery drain, that's probably, I mean, I personally wouldn't want that. You know, especially if I don't have the opportunity to charge my phone or something, you know, whatever reason.
You can't really play with the phone plugged in either because the phone doesn't have the charger bypass, so it overheats when it's plugged in.
Yeah. New regions. What'd you guys think of the new regions aesthetically, or bosses, mobs, whatever, anything?
Bosses were a lot squishier than I was expecting. I was hoping for a little bit more of a challenge. Fortunately, DZ kind of carried that for me. But visually, I loved it. I thought that they did a great job on the design and the feel of the new zones. It was very enjoyable to do that story the first time through.
I like that they felt a little bit more open than the first two Dark Domain zones.
I do believe that a couple of the zones, at least in Niflheim, which is Hela's zone, in case anybody needs that reference, a couple of them felt like they were very linear, like they were short, like they were designed, at least story mode wise, to not be very much, but a way for them to add primes and non-primes and farmable spots. It's almost like they've developed them to be here's regions or here's sections. Here, go if you need to go farm your Dark Domain crystals or whatever. You have plenty of areas to do it now.
Right.
I actually think that's pretty good. It's whether or not they're worth it, or whether they're, you know, I mean, a lot of people don't really need Dark Domain, so.
It'll also spread our most wanted targets out, so it's not like with Crown City when you had 1,000 people trying to kill Lucian.
I think also
Crystal. Yeah, true. Yeah.
Basically 6 different, crown cities now.
Yeah. If they're really close and clustered and there's a good route, I mean, it breaks all that stuff up into this quickness.
Well, that's going to take time for us to figure out the routes, though.
True.
Critical will have to figure that out by Friday.
Yeah, Critical's pretty good about that. But I mean, that opportunity being on the table is quite nice. You know, it gives us more, even just variety. Even if you do think Crown City's great, these are options to keep you from feeling monotonous, give you a little bit of variety.
Right, and I do feel like the clustering of Convergium was a little bit better in the new zones too.
Yeah. One thing I was surprised about this patch is that they actually did do a level cap. using this one. I thought they would wait a little bit longer. I felt like it feels like it's kind of like a system designed to allow newer players to feel like they still have a catch-up. They're able to catch up by the level process, which is weird because it does still take a while. Your newest character, your first character, will still take a while to get through all that stuff with all that power issues at that point. Like you said, it was really easy to level. It wouldn't be very easy to level if it's my first character running all the way through from 1 to 120.
Yeah, we're all way overpowered. Even in this room, even the weakest member still had twice as much recommended power.
Yes, I was in that margin. I was 1.26 when I put my new cards on that I got today that actually put magic specific exclusives, and it dropped my power a little bit, but not very much. And I still felt like there was only a couple spots like Mephisto and Hela in the story mode were the only 2 spots where I died, but I also was playing on auto and not really paying attention to the fight. So I essentially died because I wasn't trying to live. You guys all just deleted it anyway, so I mean, it didn't really matter. The mechanics didn't matter in the story mode. Now we're kind of already talked about the new regions, so we'll go into that. Collections, logs, stuff like that. All the new stuff, all the stuff we usually have had already is now the finished version of this part. So now we actually get to see our full rewards and play around with them.
I will get into collection rewards for a second.
Yeah.
Rewards for killing a certain number of enemies are a lot better than they were in the first half, where it was just giving us potions. You were getting a lot of squad power mats just for killing certain enemies. Not even missions.
I do remember that now too. Yeah.
Also, I think they did a lovely job with only requiring 10 primes for every single prime.
Yes.
Yes.
That cap was just too big the first time around.
I think it's meant to facilitate some sort of grind process, but it just becomes painful. And most people want to grind the one that gives their Omega card, so they're kind of leaving their other ones, or killing them, or making them spawn, and having to deal with them while not getting any rewards because they've already yielded their rewards. So at that point, you would only be doing them for fodder to upgrade your cards.
What I find odd is that, ironically, the one thing that they could have changed to make the grind to the 30 primes process easy, with giving you a timer, is when they decide to make it not 30. So not only is it significantly easier to be able to tell on the map when that prime is available to respawn, so you know not to sit in channel for an hour knowing that you just missed it by a minute.
Well, they did change it for the first half of Dark Domain. War Machine and Dormammu were only 10 each also.
Right. Yes, yeah. They did change it then. But the problem was all the old ones that were just annoying to deal with anyway.
Well, it could have been a similar trend, because in previous zones, like you have Ares. Ares is only 10 versus the back half of, like, you know, we have
All Obsidian's 30.
Versus Xander.
I know Maestro is.
MODOK.
There was
30 MODOKs.
30 MODOKs. It was egregious.
It's been 5 months since I did those 30 MODOKs, and I still wake up in cold sweats.
It was bad. It was dark times.
I mean, yes, it's very, very painful, and I know we definitely are glad that they took that as constructive criticism from the community, or just noticed it themselves. I'm sure people complained, so I'm sure that's what it was. Hero potential. I have heard some mixed reviews from you guys about this. So, Dude, since you already looked at it, I mean, I know I play her too, but you're kind of doing the transition. Why don't you talk about the story?
I'm a little disappointed in Storm 3 potentials. To say the least.
Because she got defense, HP, and accuracy rating.
Yes.
So basically all kind of like miscellaneous ones, whereas Magic got, I can actually show it.
I'm gonna be upset by this, aren't I?
Not too bad. She got attack, defense, and crit rate. So she got 2 out of 3 damage multipliers.
Star-Lord got attack, defense, and accuracy rate. The accuracy rate I actually needed, so I was fairly happy. A little bummed that it was just attack and defense.
Yeah.
I feel like at this stage of the game, we're looking for the more specialized stats. I would have loved to see more status act comebacks since they revised the previous tiers, and that's something that a lot of Star-Lords bank on.
Yeah, and a lot of this, when like something like this happens, it's going to cause people's gear to almost be bad.
Right, gotta be
Because
reworked.
like, a perfect example, I mean, my magic has a 3 accuracy rate in the chest. That's fantastic, right? That's great. I love it. But I got accuracy rate in my 5. That means if I get accuracy rate anywhere else, even with that, I might actually like wish I had a 2 roll.
And
or I didn't. But it was thinking restored.
Well, it's only 8% accuracy. So
Yeah. So I mean,
For Storm, I just feel like if you're gonna make her the queen of PvP, and then you're gonna give her PvP stats, kind of, you know what I mean? And then
the queen of PvE.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
The queen of PvE, and you're gonna give her PvP stats, and it kind of goes away from the direction that I'd like to see the character go. But then my Iron Man, he gets an attack in his 5, and it's a percentage. Did anybody key in on that?
Are all percentages at this level?
they
now?
should be all percentage.
Yeah.
I know mine.
But the base attacks were raw attack.
Yeah, but
So-
here's the thing: the
Raw
percent.
attack was better, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, anybody who's gonna start to cap out the potentials at this level, because I need 2,700 more to finish mine, is somebody with so much raw stats that the raw stat gains don't do us anything. The percentages will be better for us than they will be for a low level.
Absolutely not.
No, yeah, I agree with Doom on this. I was playing around with badges, and those figures they're huge.
Even small amount of raw stats, because there's only so few places to get them, is a giant hike because I have so much percent already.
Right.
Whereas that percent is a drop in the bucket.
Yep.
Maybe I just don't have enough. I didn't finish doing the defense potentials. I did accuracy first.
Well,
So maybe I just didn't notice it yet.
It's also way more noticeable when you get into the close to the 2 mil zone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna insert my Captain Marvel here too. The raw stats for me is even more important since I get like 70% bonus attack now. New badge, the new cards then.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely talk a little bit more about that because that's quite important for a few characters in this club. But I hopped over to Spidey since our Spidey expert is busy. I figured I'd give a look at his. He gets another set of dodge, so that allows him to not have to roll or get into dodges with his gear or his cards or whatever, right? I mean, not badness. I always HP and attack. That's not bad. I mean, if they were already maxed on dodge, all this does is allow them to move that stack somewhere else, which is good for build base because it allows these characters to start deviating from a set or a build that was kind of overcapped at this point. Now they can facilitate that into another stat. Will this cause him to be a little bit more annoying? For sure. I mean, giving him the ability to have max dodge or maximum opportunity for dodge and going into another stat, that just causes, if the character's already a problem for you, it just makes him even more. I mean,
Imagine if we have to start fighting Spideys who swap their dodge cores for defense cores.
yeah.
God
so, like,
forbid.
when you do hit him, he's actually tanky.
Yeah.
But I was more related on the fact that they could start deviating a little bit off of their badges for the blue cores to get the green cores that they were rolling off because they were like, oh, I have dodge percentage, I can throw that core on. Well, now they don't need it, in theory, right? Now they don't need it, so they can get their defense spears. So then they can start beating the crap out of Captain America's even more than they already would.
So much fun having to deal with a kiting Spidey.
While I'm switching over to see the ones for Doctor Strange, you already talked about your Iron Man ones? We already talked about the Spidey, Cap ones we kind of already went about, right?
Well, Cap is 2 times defense and 1 accuracy, which is almost what I asked for.
I know you did lose status effect resistance from the changeover they did prior to this on the balance stage.
Yep.
So I know that is something you were kind of hoping to get back, but I mean, if you got double defense with attack, that's almost perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it's
pure like translation of defense and power, since you get power from defense.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Maybe when I get new badges from the new Blitz, I'll dump my 2x defense badge and get one that has status effect resistance.
So, since I already hopped over real quick, since I can get it real quick, Strange got defense, HP, and accuracy rate. That's kind of, it's pretty blanket. So, I mean, what's the same as Storm almost, right?
Yeah, it is the same as Storm, yeah.
Yeah, it is the same.
Yeah, so I mean, that allows these characters that kind of have a little bit of a lackluster performance in the survivability trade to get a little bit more of that opportunity, and also get away from having to tunnel on the one thing that everybody felt like they really had to get because nobody built it on their costumes, which is accuracy rate. So everybody had to go get the accuracy cards because that was like our only opportunity for it at the time, basically. Until people were able to get a little bit more gear to, build up new sets of gear. The whole change they did previously where the nanoing higher grade into a lower one combines the nanos. So now, when they did that, you're allowed to I can build up a new piece of gear and then just throw the nanos on that one. And I know Drizz, you had done it before. I know you were sad that you had to lose a few nanos in the process because it was nanoing too many.
I actually decided to wait, per Doom's advice. I thought about it. I had spent so much resources re-rolling in the past to get the chess piece that I have now with one stack of accuracy, and the other stats they're meh, and it really became this mad dash for accuracy so quick, and I felt that deficiency so immediately in PvP modes. You had to do it, but I am glad with that change of being able to combine them, but I don't like where I'm at being max nano, because I feel like you're being penalized for being at that point if you want to switch your nanos over to a new piece of gear that you made. And I've got 3 much better PvP pieces that I would like to use, but I'm kind of feel like I'm just sitting on them at the moment, waiting to see what happens.
Right now to decide what you feel. Yeah.
You might as well just start building it up and use your current one as your PvE only chest.
Yep, the Marvels are mediocre.
For her potentials,
Yeah.
You said they're not very good. What were the 3 that she got this time?
It is attack, defense, and accuracy. The attack is great, accuracy is okay.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think the main thing with the characters that don't get accuracy in their specializations, talking to you, Iron Man, a lot of these characters that don't get it normally, or don't get a ton of it normally, did get it in this potential. So it's allowing a lot of those people that had, like I said, had to get that card just to literally have any amount of accuracy. They get a little bit of potential.
Well,
I think that's a good avenue to stem that problem that everybody was having by doing it that way.
Yeah,
something. If you notice when leveling, you'll notice it in DZ significantly more when you're fighting higher level primes or bosses than you tend to actually miss more often.
Yep.
They get dodges. So this may actually end up playing into the Alliance raid mode. They may make those bosses higher level so that they dodge.
Very possible. Yeah, I agree. I think there's going to be a few things as we as a community in general playing the game have evolved our ideas of stats. The same thing as one that we'll definitely get into later that I initially hated and now I love, and now I'm begging for it.
Regarding the defense potential for Captain Marvel, it's one of the things that came up is that all the Captain Marvels were building dodge if they built any defensive stat. And then Critical, a couple days after the balance patch, he started swapping out everything for defense, and I've noticed him doing really well in PvP now, thanks to it.
I mean, I don't know who is going dodge. I personally wasn't going dodge because it was that logic with Spider-Man, right? Like, Spider-Man lost all his active dodge. All he has is his passive dodge. So now everyone's gonna be just countering it in that sense. So everyone's gonna go back to stacking accuracy, in which case that negates the dodge rating on any other character as well, because people are already gonna be stacking it to beat Spider-Man. So everyone's just gonna passively not have any relevancy from their dodge statistic.
I've been saying that since a month in.
Yeah, if you're not Spider-Man, why stack dodge?
Should avoid
Black
great
Widow.
business.
I think Black Widow actually is kind of like the only other character that really should look into it. With that being said, potentials for Black Widow. What did we see her get?
Yeah, so she got attack, defense, and HP, which is, you know.
All
Yeah,
about
but she
increasing her
has. I
survivability.
think. Yeah, we looked at it a couple days ago with one of the other guys that we were trying to figure out why he had X's potential. We were just that's like the first time I really paid attention to all of hers, and like she has way more attack-based potentials than most characters I pay attention to, at least. Like a lot of hers, like 3 of them in the whole potential, like all 3. Usually you get at least 1 defense or 1
all 5
stat.
All 5 of them are attack.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
that like she definitely could use some defensive based ones. So I think that was a good idea. Just considering when you hit a Black Widow, she usually falls on the ground if she's not way above your power. I mean, you can attest to that, or otherwise if you feel differently. But I think on the general sense, like Black Widow's meant to be very evasive, but in a not an active dodge sense, but more of a just you can't hit me, period. If you can.
Yeah.
Like she's like the kind of character you look at as a if there was an infinite iframe character stat or style, it would almost be like it makes sense for her more than anybody else in that sense.
By the way, Bruce,
Oh, yeah.
how many untargetable skills does she have? Because I feel like Black Widow's been running more since the balance patch.
On top of the head, let me see. Step. I think she has like 2 or 3.
Because I've been noticing Black Widows, like almost none of the ones I fight anymore are using any of the shooting-based skills. They're just using all the untargetable skills.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Alright, well, I think we really got everybody. Did we get Star-Lord? Did we kind of talk about him when we were talking about some of the other ones?
Yeah, we got his potentials.
Okay. Next on the notes, we had the Blitz. From when I had, I did it too, but from the overall consensus, it's like a speed run.
Very
It's
fast.
Go in and get out.
Yeah,
It's basically
quick.
Maestro with an extra layer.
Which is nice,
Yeah.
because I mean, one of the biggest things is like the time consumption it takes to do some
Right,
of the stuff.
right, the
It does take a
Dormammu
lot of your day.
Blitz was it took forever.
Dormammu was a long one, and I think that
Forever.
was a good polarity. Getting very completely different sides of the spectrum of getting a pretty long one and then a very quick one.
Not only that, we can all agree collectively as a community that they put that Dormammu Blitz intentionally to kill AFK players. There's
agree.
no way that last ability in Dormammu's phase was meant to do anything other than kill people who are on auto with a purple spawned underneath and just obliterated the 4 people.
I don't know. I don't usually ever get. I've never really gotten that far. And
Yeah, I
When
don't
it
get that
first
far.
happened-
I'm
when it
I'm
first
sorry,
came-
mister. I can one-shot Dormammu in every phase.
I don't get that far. Sorry.
I'm so massive.
That's what she said.
But I think I kind of concur with that statement that when it first came out, it was basically like stop AFK. But now, basically, another thing we can kind of segue into. I know it's further down the patch notes, but we can go over it now. Auto.
Auto skip.
And we got auto skip cinematics, which basically facilitates to that. Anyway, but auto everything in your character kit, everything that's there, you can auto now. Like
Yeah.
one of the things we've been complaining about, like Captain Marvel in particular, why can I not auto with my ult? Like makes no sense. It's one of the core parts of her kit. Same thing with Magic. Magic's kind of the same way. Now we have that on top of the fact that companions have an option to be enabled.
And anyone who decided to run a new Stark build, even if they're not built around their ult, if you have it, you aren't benefiting from it.
True. Yeah, if you're auto AFKing like most people, well, a lot of people do in training grounds, you're losing out on a lot of your speed because you can't ult. Now you can. So now that problem is more, are you in a clustered area where there's a lot of people around you taking your kills at that point? I mean, I think across the board, I don't think anybody would particularly complain about the ability to add in autos. I know there's certain characters that it's not optimal, but I mean, you're basically just giving yourself another ability to do a kill, and you have the option to do it without it as well. So it's not like they took it and went, yeah, everybody can do everything now. They also considered caps or Doctor Strange's characters that have a long cast time on their ult that basically would slow down their kill speed. They gave them an option to do it without ults. I'm glad that they also considered that.
It's just really annoying that the way that you activate that step is like how many times I've thought that I took auto off and just put it on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be a learning curve too. We didn't have that before, and now we're in, our habits or our muscle memories are there. It's the same thing with the presets that they added as well, which is again another fantastic thing they added. Maybe the overlay some people didn't like too much, but I loved it personally. I know a lot of people did.
I personally really like it too.
I think it's very great because you get to see, all right, here's everything I have on my page 1 or my page A, as they call ABC. My page A has all this. My page B has all this. My page C has all this. All right, perfect. And then that way you're basically like, I'm going into my PvP, going into my dimension duels, I'm going into my Mega Wars, and I'm going in for my PvE. Obviously, some characters have deviation to how that would go. Like my Storm has my Storm's built for PvE, so she doesn't really have a PvE set. She does have the skill set, but I don't like how to switch to it.
I personally set up C as like a PvP tab. A is PvE with companions that provide XP bonus for their bonus stat when they're used actively. And then B is PvE with support skills and companions that provide a bonus stat that's relative to my damage or my stamina recovery or my supervillain damage. So I've kind of set it up that way to kind of organize the different modes that I play and the different types of PvE modes that I'm playing.
And so anybody that is not particularly familiar with it yet, this is the layout now. Here's A, B, C. These are your presets, and then 1, 2, 3 of each little loadout you have for each set. And then if you ever want to tinker with it a little bit more, you can hit the double arrow button, and it pulls you to that tab. So that way you can more alter your setup on that specific setup. I think it's great. I think it's at least, even if the overlay could get tuned, perfect world or whatever, I think it's great. But even if somebody would be, I think overall it's a net positive. There's not really much you can look at and go, oh, I hate this period. I wish they'd ever have done it. I think it would be more constructive. Like, I wish it was this way, not that way.
Yeah, overall, a little bit more control and quicker transitions between the exact build-outs that you need, or loadouts that you need for certain modes.
Yeah, it saves a lot of time on that end.
I just wish there was a fourth tab, because I have one for PvE, one for Dimension Duel, and one for OW, but I use a completely different setup for AOW than I use for any of the others.
Yeah, which is, obviously, like I said with Storm, like I would want, perfect world. If I played Storm as my only character, which I don't, but if I did, I did at one point, I would want a DD setup, an Omega War setup, a AoE PvE, and a single target PvE. That's how I would want it, I think my AOW one would be basically the same as OW, but, that's a perfect world scenario. I still think 3 still works, especially because I play my character a little different, I play my setup a little different with how I play my game. So I have a little bit more of an opportunity because I play with, give or take 6 presets, because I have 2 different characters.
We did discover in Spec Ops, it reverts back to the old system and it only changes your skills.
Nothing else gets truly affected. So this way, you're only really changing your abilities or your skills. So that's the only thing that even affects that. Alrighty. Raid difficulty. They added 2 more difficulties of raid. Personal opinion.
What
level 4 is easy.
Yeah.
You have to be 115 and you have to be 120 to hit level 5 for some of us. There are some people in our server that are level 120, but they suffer through the training grounds mode just to get there. We don't know how it looks, but the difficulty, tap back over here to show it. Level 4 requires 770,000 power, level 115 like we said, and then level 20, your minimum is 1 mil. You need to at least have 1 mil, your recommended is 1.1. Still not a lot, I mean a ton. Most people at this point in the game, if you've been playing since launch, that's easy. Now, is it going to be difficult? That's left to be seen. I think if you're more of the casual or multi-character building person, where you really like to try to like build a bunch of different characters and put a lot of resources across the board, this might still be a little hard, just because you won't have the power to blow past any sort of changes that this would have put in. But I think people like Dragon, Drizzle, Doom, any of those guys that have a really strong PvE or just power setup will blow right past it and not have to worry about it.
I think it'll also
We'll find out.
It'll punish AFKers.
Oh, for sure. I don't think I think it'll be more punishing for it. It's just a matter of how much damage said very powerful people do, as to whether or not there's even mechanics that matter at that point. I think there will be, but or the mechanics that we already know about are now something you have to actively care about.
One thing to note, if I may, in the patch notes they also stated that there's new challenges associated with the new raid, so you'll be able to earn some more challenges towards your total grade for the free crystals. And whilst we're on that topic, in case anyone did not know, you have multiple layers of a specific challenge completed. You want to claim them by not claiming the claim all, otherwise you will only get credit for one of those challenges.
I'm pretty sure they patched that a while back.
They didn't.
At least be careful about it, if it is a case.
I'd err on the side of caution there.
If they fixed it, they did not give me my points.
I don't think they compensated people.
Back.
They
They
just
didn't
told
do
you to
anything
do
back, but they fixed it happening.
Yeah, I do
Right.
believe that they fixed the problem. I mean, keep an eye out on it. I think it's one of the things you want to do with that, basically. But, I mean, that's really it. It just really comes down to that. Basically, the raids just kind of... We're hoping that it would be a little bit more difficult. I don't think it's amounting to what we expected. Maybe we'll be surprised for level 5.
I'm just happy for the
Yep, but that's a dev note thing, so that's not in this
Right,
patch.
I'll take the increased rewards.
Yup.
True.
Thank-
I'm not going to
What was
complain
it?
about more rewards for relatively easier value.
Except for the fact that everything's going to be maxed out soon anyways with the new specializations.
True, the pity system will make it at least, but this also
Yeah.
allows you to start building up your characters for
We'll see.
squad battle that's coming.
Squad
Squad battle.
battles.
Squad battle.
It
So
also
anybody that's at least tried to build up at least one alt character will be ahead of the curve a little bit.
Free
Do you
Spectator.
can actually try them
Do you
out
mean Dragon's Battle?
over.
Right.
Yes. They made a whole game mode just for Dragon, guys.
Dragon's
So
Battle.
the next note is actually pretty nice for anybody that's a content creator or streamer or whatever. It doesn't always get into the matches, or perhaps likes to bow out so that they can allow somebody else to go in. Spectator mode for Alliance of Mega War. This is actually quite great because basically you could also just have a coach. For more or less better lack of a better way to explain it, you can have somebody that spectates as long as it's live or relatively live.
Are you able to have they specified, I'm assuming they have not, but I'm curious to know if it's something where it follows a fixed camera on specific players that you can cycle through,
I have
or if
not
it's an
seen-
all map.
I have not seen any information based on how you're going to view it. I'm curious
hoping
to
it's
see
ghost
because
cam.
I do think.
Yeah,
I hope
ghost
that
cam would be
either, like,
ideal. Then you could have someone doing
forge
call
camera.
outs.
I always call it forge camera from Halo, where you get to fly around like God mode. Where
Right.
You just kind of fly around and watch everything. But if it's not, if it's at least a full top down where you can see the entire battlefield, that would be great. If
I
they
really-
want it to be that you could just live through somebody else and that you could just watch it, just so that you can at least like feel like you're involved as the Alliance.
Right.
Like
I
the
feel like almost every
non-participating.
weekend we have there's like only a handful of times where we had less than or the exact amount of slots filled. We almost always have more people turn out
We
for
always
it.
we almost always have more, at least a few people that don't get the chance to go.
Right.
I'm really excited for it because now we can force Clutch to use calls and not
Commander Clutch.
Right.
Wait.
Ideal. It's an ideal.
Everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. I got my PvP card today. I might actually be fighting.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see.
But anyways, I look at it as anybody that's in a big alliance, kind of, you know, I mean, basically ours, that doesn't get to participate, but they want to watch or they want to see if they would ever enjoy it, gets to see that, and then
Right.
maybe they really start pushing their PvP set, and then they get to play later because they actually worked on it.
Right. PvP's only
I mean,
fun if you're
like
in the
I said,
mix
we
with it.
actively try to bring in people, so they always get somebody gets some rewards from it. Every time we always try to get somebody in for it, but it doesn't always work that way. Especially if we do still try to win.
Yep.
4 new companions: Ghost Rider, Baron Mordo, Kasim, and Chuckles.
I think we should have Drizz for this section.
We're gonna start off with Ghost Rider, and yes, that's going to go to Drizz.
Fine, Chuckles.
Yeah, the companions were huge. Some pretty unique skills. There's a few characters that are going to benefit pretty obviously, some very specifically from the active skills on the new companions, but really every character can benefit from the bonus stats that these new companions are giving, whether it's you need to stack more XP gain to hit that 120 cap faster, or if you're looking for more PvP oriented skills, Kasim is one to keep your eye on. We have to see how this plays out with our current heavy hitters in PvP modes and tight arenas like Dimension Duel versus larger maps with AOW. But his one thing that caught my eye immediately was his active skill, the reduced PvP damage decrease. That's something. It's just a direct application to your opponent's stat. It's not dependent on where your power level's at. Really, anyone can benefit from that in a PvP setting, in theory. And once I've got that ranked up a little more, I will definitely be sharing some content of how that plays out in Dimension Duel rounds versus Omega War, seeing what his reach is. But there's a little bit of a debate in the Star-Lord community whether Ghost Rider is viable for flame builds. You got players like C-Wild who think that there's other companions that are still more viable to run. Icarus being one that just that insane damage boost right out the gate. If you've got him ranked up, it's pretty hard to counter. If you don't have a dodge ready, you're done for. And for him, that's more viable than that Ghost Rider extra flame damage.
And then a reminder to anybody, since I remember this, we'll say it. Whenever you're looking at a case, if you go over to their skill, you can actually play their ability, and you can kind of get at least an idea of how their area of effect will at least shows. Maybe it doesn't affect as well, or maybe it affects further, but at least you get an idea. But yeah, I do think Kasim, however it is, I definitely think he's one to keep an eye out for, just because the potential that he has with what he does. Again, it's another situation of a certain character that does, or a certain companion that does something we haven't had yet. So we'll have to see. It's like when we got Ghost Rider and Spider-Man. Kind of like trying to see how they feel. Yeah, go for it.
Our resident Captain Marvel Will is ready to enter the chat.
Oh, of course, yeah. If somebody can add him.
Yeah, I got him.
So we'll go back over and kind of do a little bit brief overview on what his opinions of the patch in general, because we're basically coming towards the end at least. There's still a decent bit, but most of the stuff we went over, we'll just get his opinion. Let's see, I guess I'll take this part, Baron Mordo. Awesome.
Wow.
I don't know how else to explain it. They're starting to look like they might be building characters in or companions in as character-specific companions, which is kind of cool. I like that idea. I like it and hate it because it may be a really good idea for a character to get these buffs that I might want on another one. Or some characters, like Captain Marvel, you might really like what Baron Mordo does, but you don't get him. Not in the way that Doctor Strange and Magic do.
Infinite ult build.
He does have a range. Like if you put him down, or he's in like auto summon or whatever. I can actually try to show it real quick. Just throw myself in Hydra. I think that would be the best place to do it. Gotta go to Hell's Kitchen and let this load real quick. Basically, what he does is he just drops down and he channels a beam on the character and gives them the stats.
Yeah, every time I look at that really is such a beautiful combination of stats that he's buffing for Magic.
See what he's doing. He gives me the attack, and then I go too far away, and it still gives me the buff, but he's now gone. Like the buff still stays for what he gave me at that point, but it'll time out.
It's almost as good as giving Spider-Man their own Spider-Man.
True. That's what I mean by like essentially what they were kind of building around. Donna Ports is another one that kind of works that way. People didn't know it at the time, but now it does. The all type damage applies to status effect based types. Fire, shock, chill. So basically Star-Lord and Storm really are the only ones that properly get benefit from that. There are characters that have those, but they're one ability.
Right.
That's not a full kit.
Right, not a full skill set.
Whereas Star-Lord and Storm, their entire kits are designed around some sort of element.
Make a mistake like me and fully invest in her thinking he was gonna give you a super big increase.
Quite true. I did it beforehand thinking that it would be a good strategy for invasion. Being able to get this character or that setup where you get her and you have somebody that has a better Athena than you, activate their Athena and your Donna Ports. Luckily mine, I didn't lose the value because I was on Storm, but other people that did it on Captain Marvel, probably a little sad.
Right. I mean, for players that did invest in Donna Ports, you're not going to get the benefit out of the skill upgrade tickets you used, but as far as the XP overall, if you've strengthened her as a companion, you can still equip her, take that bonus stamina recovery stat if you need it. It's almost 7%. It's not, that's decent.
It'll help for the squad battles when we utilize like a character that can do that. So it does have value there. It'll probably be the best companion for the situation, but
especially with Star-Lord being so strong.
Hello and welcome, Critical.
Star-Lord is definitely high in the tier list right now, or at least high in the eyes. I've seen a lot of people actually switching to Star-Lord because they really think he looks that good. I'm not disagreeing. I just think that's really they're really trying to get ahead of the curve of where we see a whole bunch of people going to it and they want to be there before the others do.
He's already just about the most fun character to play as. He's just so active.
Yeah, I think he's really fun. I personally love Magic. That's why I actually committed. I usually don't like to do the whole new character thing, but when I saw her kit and saw how she played, I was like, I think this character is going to be one of the better PvP characters when she's online compared to other heroes. We really haven't hit that point, at least on our server. We haven't really seen that. So that's left to be decided, but I really do think that once that happens, it'll be very nice to see if I'm right or wrong, regardless of the way it goes.
I will attest, as a ground-based character who Magic can focus on, that her status effect and guard breaking abilities are really annoying.
Yeah, I am getting constantly interrupted by her in Omega Wars.
And then the last companion is Chuckles. I think he's kind of, he's there. Yeah, he's collection. That's really all he is. He's basically there for collection stats.
You're to be cute.
I don't think anybody's going to really be running him.
I don't think he's cute. I think he's creepy as hell.
I think he's adorable.
Right?
And I would love to see somebody pop him in a Dimension Duel round. That'd be the highlight of my day.
Now that we're
Just be
really
so distracted.
Right.
We're basically really at the point where we're kind of getting into the nitty gritty of intelligences, kind of stuff like that. Crit, do you have any basically any overview of what Captain Marvel didn't get, or you felt she did get that people won't know about this patch?
I think The only thing changing in this patch for Captain Marvel was it looked like they did something to, I forget what the name of the skill is, that focus fire or whatever it is, the light beams. You know what I'm talking about, where she collapses.
Oh, yeah, where they used to disappear sometimes.
Yeah, that's the only thing they did was fix that. From what I could see, but it was interesting to see.
They also
they went in and found something
Yeah,
else to fix on her, but on nobody else.
I was
They
just
also-
gonna bring it up, Erdrick, that guard gauge. Oh man, that is so relevant now. On PvE bosses now, I'm getting guard broken in the air.
Yeah, so
Oh, yeah.
there was a bug where if Captain Marvel was flying, sometimes she wouldn't take guard damage, and I noticed that because that's how I beat Captain Marvel's, by breaking them.
Yeah. So there was one. Yeah, the bug that they fixed was that for some reason she wasn't getting attacked in the air, or she wasn't getting guard damage in the air. Now apparently that was noticeable now, as to where before it wouldn't have been a thing because you didn't know it was a problem. But yeah, so I think that really covers most of the character stuff. I mean, there might be a few things, but as we come down the patch notes, we're pretty much towards the end. Now we're at the new card sets. First card set, don't really care about, to be honest. Personally, I think if you get the attack cards and you really need attack, sure. But max damage rate is kind of, people don't really like it too much. I don't think it's terrible. I think it's one that, but
For a brand new starting character, the two attack cards combined is a good way to push your attack if you have the right stats on your gear.
the same thing is also with the fact that the set effect gives 2 attack.
Yes,
Damage
I was
or
gonna-
attack.
the 2 set is an extra attack, so you're getting 2 cards with just a bunch of attack. So-
People ignore villain damage, but it'll be really good in training grounds when you're in on your ults.
I was
Yeah,
just about
I
to say
run
that
on my lens.
you could run this whole Dark Domain 4 set at blue quality and just breeze through with all that villain damage.
True. Yeah, alt based that would be a underlying stealth kind of thing, like something that nobody would really think about as much. Especially
Now
because there's
decreasing
2
all-
villain damage cards, not just 1.
That is true, and here I was thinking this was a worthless set. We found an opportunity to use it.
We found a way to make it work.
I wouldn't say it's worthless either because we don't know what raid entails. There could be just tons and tons of mobs that we need to clear
We
through.
could have to have somebody that's built for villain damage, just like a storm, to just guarantee that stuff dies, or
invasion,
anybody,
where
really.
it's based off of minion kills.
Yeah, it's like waves of minions, and then there's one final boss at the end, and then you'll have time. Like we just got our new presets.
That's
to be
true.
able
They
to
did
fully
announce an
flip
endless
over.
mode, right?
That's a little bit of what the alliance rate is, I think. If I understand.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so this will be viable for that too.
Potentially, yes. It just
I'm
depends on how it
assuming
goes.
kind of why they put it in. They're trying
Hoping.
to prepare.
I'm hoping, but we'll hold our breath and we'll
Yeah.
be pleasantly surprised if that's the case.
For now, it'll sit in our mega card storage.
But now we get to the good one. Or debatably good one.
I think it's
Dark
really
Domain
good for certain characters.
I agree. But the main thing is we got another crit rate card, we got another crit damage card, 2 more attacks, which is kind of a blanket nice thing. You know, it's not great, it's not bad. But we come to the special cards in this set that came out. That's the damage decrease and melee damage. Personally, as a character or a person that plays a character that's more melee based, obviously she has some range. As a character that's going to end up taking some hits, I think these are underrated.
I agree with that, Z, and it's one that I've focused on with companions, and I'll be adding this and the crit rate card to my PvP set every little bit. I'll be up to, I think, 20% melee decrease at that point, running Urs as well. And that's a significant bite out of an Iron Man spin blade that can keep you alive instead of KO'd in one hit.
I think it's going to be a game changer for Captain America in AOW. It's going to make Captain America a lot tankier, allowing us to better control the battlefield with Provoke.
Yeah, I think for PvP, if you're talking like the end-all like ultimate set for everybody, you're probably gonna want to run both those special cards because not only that, but your accuracy will be fine too.
Yeah, that's where I was going to get to as well. It's a 2-set actually gives accuracy, which is another thing where we were talking about prior. People were running accuracy cards just to get any amount of accuracy. But now you get even more just from a 2-set that doesn't have accuracy in the deck.
And
but then there's a new one they've added into a set bonus for cards, which is the ultimate skill level. Again, we go to another thing that potentially, depending on your opinion and where you're at on your build too. I'm going to try to test it and see how it works. We'll see how that goes. I probably will not end up being worth it because special cards are so good across the board. You get an extra stat, everything. But
yeah,
we'll see. But I mean, there's 3 characters that could drastically benefit well from being able to access that. It's just a matter of if they lose too much, and that's what we'll have to find out.
I mean, the problem is you still want to get your 75% PvP increase, 75% of PvP decrease, and with the special cards that allows you more chances at getting your PvP.
Yes, more chances. I mean, that's, I'll show exactly the same thing with mine. It has to roll the exclusive stat, but I have a Black Widow card with crit damage, the base stat, and then increase and decrease in my bonus stats. I couldn't ask for more. Like I can spend gold to get the exclusive, but I don't have to lose my bonus stats.
Right, and I mean, aside from maxing increase and decrease for PvP, I mean, there's also other stats, like you're gonna have to take on your Omega cards in order to get where you want to be in PvP, like defense pierce, and all of that adds up when you're running special cards if you can take the stats that you need from them.
Like for example, Captain America can swap out a PvP stat for guard damage.
But that's something that I'm gonna work around on, see if I make it work to where it's better or worse, or at least a determination. Because I think I gotta look at it again. I had it remembered, but I gotta look. The cards for the card sets, if you look at it, the level 6, which is all 6 of them, at least 5 of them 6-starred, 1 of them just even at a 1-star puts you there. You get 37 or 34.7 crit damage. You get +4 to your ult, and then you get almost 6% accuracy. And then along with all the bulky stats you get from this, we'll see. I mean, obviously your cards have to roll great, because even if you get a 6 set and all that stuff's fantastic, if you get some bogus stat you want in the middle, it almost ruins the whole set.
Drugs just pulled a Star-Lord just to rub it in my face.
No, he's re-rolling it.
Oh, right. Just popped up again.
I just looked at the alert, I was like, wait a minute. That's a lot of Star-Lords. New Blitz gives ult gauge recovery. Another thing about the whole ult gauge thing, or ult thing we were talking about. 3 characters really like that. Yeah. Most characters don't hate it, I mean, Cap, it takes 20 years to get your ult, but, I mean, it still helps to get it faster. I mean, it can't hurt, right?
And it is just about the hardest hitting skill in the entire game, I think.
We also calculated the amount of percentage that it gives you from the full badge set, and it comes out to about 18% exactly, almost.
Okay,
that's
and what's
huge.
The cap for ult recovery?
200%.
Okay, so that you get the 100% as a base number.
Yeah.
So it's an extra 100%.
Right.
But that would be what, 3 seconds for
So
Black Widow?
I'm personally already at 157. I have 2 rolls on my boots. I forget if I have any on my badges. I have 1 on one of my badges, 2, so there's 2 on my badges, and then any of the ones for my potential. So those 2 badges, theoretically, if I pull them off and then put all that stuff on, that would be the difference there. And then any more.
On top of the relevancy of Baron Mordo, or characters
as well as this little guy here that I have recently started investing in with the Dark Magic ult recovery. That's my 4th specialization. So that gives me almost Captain Marvel levels of ult recovery.
Yeah, it's very, very similar.
That'll be left to be determined on how incredibly good it is, especially with the bug currently. I'm not sure if it's still a problem or if it was fixed, because I haven't tested the damage difference or seen how it feels. I just know I ult a lot now.
I think you're gonna see a ton more of the infinite iframe, or not the infinite iframe, the infinite ultimate Captain Marvel's running New Start.
Binary,
Yeah, just because with the extra ult skill, it'll increase the amount of uptime you have on the attack percentage, or at least the amount that the attack gives. So if it's 60 now, it might give you like 65%. An extra 5% attack just from that on top of the attack hitting harder is so insane. And just the ult gauge badges allow free-to-play players to hit that 200% mark without needing to be a whale and getting everything perfect. It should be very easily achievable with 2 ult gauge on your boots.
Really, we only coming down through here. I mean, they did do some changes to primes and all that stuff in Dark Zone. So, I mean, they leveled them up to 120 because that's, you know, the cap now. They did take out some old ones, put in some new ones. I know it's the same thing as it was when we hit our 110 cap, where it's just pure chaos right now because nobody's at the level cap to really hit that damage threshold where it doesn't hit as bad. Because I know every time I went in there before I hit 110, it was pure suffering. I felt like I was back when I was not in an alliance and went in against TSF or Reborn or anybody, and I just had to fear for my life. Just pray I got the time.
Well, there you have it. We covered most of the big changes in the recent patch. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.